All right, guys, welcome back. A little bit of a breaking news here. We are going to cover the new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh's plan of financial repression. Is it a lifeline for the economy or is it actually theft? We have some shocking statistics to share with you guys. The government budget projections for this year, for 2026, from the Congressional Budget Office, we are currently projected to have a budget deficit, which means this is how much we're short on every single year, of almost $2 trillion, $1.9 trillion. The debt that we hold currently, which I believe is almost 40 trillion, is 101% of GDP, which is what we produce in a year. I mean, these numbers, guys, are just staggering. And I wanted to talk about what this really means. What is financial repression? And what are we spending our money on? You know, where are our taxes going? We are spending out of that the total spending, we are spending national defense, so our army and military, at 21.8%, Medicare at 17.4%, Social Security at 16.3%, and healthcare at 12.6%. So the deficit is continuing to grow, and actually by 2036, it's projected to grow to $3.1 trillion every single year. So, Peter, that's obviously some crazy numbers. What are your thoughts about this number, and what have you heard about financial repression?
It seems a ridiculous number. It doesn't make sense. It's so crazy, and it's just like such a ridiculous number that I don't know how we're going to be able to get out of it. I think Kevin Warsh has hinted at a plan around reducing this debt. But I feel like 3 trillion. I mean, I don't know if we truly understand how much a trillion is, but it is such a ridiculous number. And we're not, I mean, the government has been threatened to shut down multiple times because of a lack of funding. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in just a hole, right? It's like, what are we going to cut? Are we going to cut Medicare? I mean, how many people depend on Medicare now, right? Like, how many people depend, even like our national defense budget? Like, do we need that much, right? But then if we don't, we're not going to have necessarily the power over the world like we used to. So how are we going to get out of that? I think Kevin Warsh potentially, I mean, the gist of it, if I'm understanding correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, is that he is planning on inflating this amount of money that we owe, we're going to basically weaken, because it's all owed in dollars, right? So we're going to weaken the dollar so we can thus pay less in a weird sense over time, thus taking money from our pockets as people who transact in dollars and who hold money in dollars, right? A lot of us have money in dollars, right? It's kind of like this. It's like, if you know, like how Bitcoin works. If we, you know, if the value of Bitcoin goes much lower, let's just say it goes down to like $10,000, obviously or we make that much more Bitcoin, the value of our power, the power to buy, purchasing power, goes a lot lower. And that's essentially what's happening. Even though it sounds great, we're reducing our dollar, it's essentially stealing from us as citizens. And that's one of the biggest problems with inflation, is it's basically stealing money from us. And what we don't realize is that we've had money stolen from us for a very long time. Inflation was almost, if not, it was what, double digit appreciation or close to double digit appreciation. It has stolen from us. And then we're all wondering why are we so broke? Like, why are a lot of us struggling even though we have jobs? That's exactly why. It's because we printed money and we think it's a good idea, but it's actually stealing from us. So that's my ultimate thoughts around this.
Yeah, so the way I like to think about it, whenever I think about inflation, is a pizza example. I think a really simple way to understand it is, you have a whole pizza. It could be your budget, it could be maybe real pizza. And you have four friends who want to, buy um, a slice of pizza from you at $1 per slice. It's $4, right? You divide it this way. Well, now imagine there's four more people that want to buy a slice of pizza, and they also want to pay you $1. So all you do is you just cut up the pizza smaller. So you get a slice. You technically get one slice, but that one slice or $1 is just worth a lot less. And imagine there's 16 people now. I mean, you can keep going on and on. 1,000 people, right? You're still getting a slice, but it might just be, a sliver. So that's kind of how inflation works in my mind, to explain it in easy terms. It doesn't erase the debt. It just makes the debt burden really small. So let's say your income is $100,000 per year, and you have a $100,000 mortgage on your house. Well, because of inflation, maybe you do the same thing and you get paid $120,000, $150,000, because everything gets more and more expensive, more and more expensive. But then your debt is still $100,000. So even if your income goes up and up and up relative because of inflation, you can pay down your mortgage with inflated dollars. And this is essentially how Warsh is trying to erase the debt, right? I think, Peter, you made a really good point about it feeling like robbery, because it really is, especially for people who do not have assets. So the difference between the haves and the have-nots, meaning the people who have assets, homes, jewelry, stocks, bonds, Bitcoin, all these things. If you don't have these things that rise with inflation and you just have cash, well, then that's really, really bad news, because everything is getting more expensive. Warsh believes that the increased inflation will be filled in by AI's productivity boom, right? So think of the internet era, where we had this massive bubble, and it did crash, but eventually it got filled in by all the productivity and the economy growing because of Amazon and Google and all these things. Peter, do you think that AI will save us? Do you think that it will actually battle inflation because of the productivity boom?
Productivity. I think it has the potential to, especially when robotics gets involved, right? Because that will take care of a lot of manufacturing, and we can, both Warsh and Trump, they all want to get manufacturing back here, right, into America. So if we can get that factor in, I mean, that would actually, and we, even farms right now, there's no farmers. Like, people don't want to farm anymore. But if we can use AI and robotics to farm our fields and produce food, I mean, that takes care of a lot of issues. And so, could this be the answer? It potentially could. Um, are we there yet? I mean, I know Colin says that we're 5 years from it, but I don't know if I've seen maybe I'm just not aware, but I've seen the um, technology that would get us there yet. But what I can say is we need to get there quickly, because we got to do something quickly. We can't just keep. I mean, we can't just keep printing money. I mean, we're not going to be able to pay our debt, and we're going to have to cut something. And that's where I think we could see some real problems.
So just a little bit of history. This is not the first time that financial repression has happened. After World War II, there was a lot of talk about how we came out Because of all the wartime production, we really stimulated the economy, and then we reduced the debt quite a bit. Well, part of that, or most of that, wasn't just because of the productivity. It was actually because of financial repression being used back in World War II. So the U.S. debt to GDP went from 106% in 1946, which is very close to where we have it now. I mean, think about that, okay? To about 23%. So one went from 106% to 23% in 1974. So in those, what is that, 28 years, something like that, we essentially inflated the economy so much that the relative debt shrank. So as we face even bigger spending in the future, I don't know if you heard, but the Pentagon or the defense budget actually went up by $1.5 trillion, right? And that is also very, very crazy. But we do need to protect the petrodollar, which is essentially the reason why one of the reasons why we're number one, right? We need to make sure that people keep on trading in dollars, and that we can have that leverage over other countries. And the only way to do that is to have a big, big military presence. And that's really a lot of where our money's going to. So I think that, so let's talk about who the losers are, right? Specifically, the specific losers in this scenario, if this is true, and if this will actually happen, are the savers. People who hold things in cash, right? I think that's the statistic is in the last 100 years. Michael Saylor, the Bitcoin guy, I think he's pretty famous for saying this, but in the last 100 years, the US dollar has lost like 99% of its value, which is crazy. It's like, what is that, 5% compounded over 100 years is like 99% of value, right? His famous example is, hey, my home in Miami Beach is worth 40 million now, but it cost, $50,000 or whatever, 100 years ago. It's not because it became that much more valuable. It's because of inflation, right? So people who are going to lose are unfortunately the savers, people who hold bonds, which are more safe, traditionally safe, retirees relying on fixed income. This is a big issue. And I know this because I help my parents and in-laws with their finances. Their Social Security and pension doesn't just magically go up. I mean, and they have medical fees, expenses, I mean, you name it, right? So this is the fact. Peter, how do you think, I mean, this is a big plan by Warsh, right? This will probably happen. How do you think people should be thinking about this issue, and what can they do?
Yeah, it's like if people's incomes are not increasing in lockstep with inflation, which it's not, right? It's like everyone knows that incomes have barely increased, right? Minus the tech sector, right? A lot of these tech guys are making some incredible money. Plus, they get stock options like RSUs. Thus, their wealth actually does increase because they're like automatically invested. And a lot of these guys also buy homes. So you're seeing a disparity between the tech people and and the really poor who are just average workers, working at the hospital, who are not making that kind of money, who are not increasing in their net worth at all. In fact, probably buried in debt. And so, I mean, honestly, I feel like the government, I know this is not about like what people can do, but it's like, I feel like the government needs to start doing some kind of UBI, only because we need to do something like that, or else we can't survive. Like if AI is truly going to be our answer, then UBI is 100% a part of that factor. If not, we're just making the very wealthy tech industry or tech people or whoever, everyone who's benefiting from AI, just get that much richer, and we're going to see a lot of people struggling, if not already. So of course, the answer is to invest, right? It's like The answer always is to save every penny, because you have to put your money into something, even if it's Bitcoin. A lot of people don't have the money to buy a house. If you can buy a house, great. But for the rest of us, we have to focus on easy, assets like stocks, like Bitcoin, like cryptocurrencies. Don't go altcoins. Just go like Bitcoin or Ethereum. I would just go Bitcoin, and try to own something, right? Because that's and I'm not talking about just buying like a bicycle or like a car. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about owning actual assets that will go up in value. And so, I mean, that really is the answer. Try to make more income, but I think the wealth gap is just going to become so much larger. And I think the people who didn't take that extra shift or work a little bit extra to invest, I think they're going to regret it so much, because if truly inflation is their answer, we're going to see some serious wealth gaps because of assets. So those are my final thoughts. You?
Yeah, agreed. I think when I get questions from clients or friends or family about where things are going, I don't really know, to be honest. I'm not I don't have a crystal ball, but what I do know is that there are forces at play that are much bigger than what we think, or what we want to have happen. And one of those forces is inflation. It's not just us. It's many of the world's countries that are first world, and Japan, Germany, us, I mean, et cetera, et cetera. Inflation is unfortunately a fact, and I think you need to have assets to be protected against that. Bitcoin is a great strategy, because you don't have to buy $1,000 stock. You can buy $10 of Bitcoin. It's really the practice of doing it, the practice of putting something aside, the practice of knowing that you could spend money on something but not doing it, and then putting it into the bank. One thing that really makes me that helps me is thinking about the concept of how a dollar is not a dollar, right? Like if you put in $100 today, in 30 years it could be worth 10,000 or 50,000 or whatever the case is. So if you're spending $100 on something today, well, it's not just 100, it could be worth multiple X that in the future. So we'll continue to watch this. I think that's all for today, and I think people should be paying attention to this.
Definitely. We'll keep you guys updated on what Warsh does. I mean, he hasn't had too much press, and this is not getting that much press, but anything we find out, anything he talks about, we'll definitely talk about it, because it will affect your pockets at the end of the day, whether you're a homeowner or whether you're, just trying to make it in life. It will affect all of us. So we will let you know. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys on the next video.